This is a short presentation about choosing an issue that you can use all semester long, or at least for the first several writing assignments. We're hoping that you'll pick an issue that you can use for a good chunk of the semester. One of the reasons we want this is so that you can have the opportunity to practice a technique called thick description. This was a term that was coined by the anthropologist Clifford Geertz. He called thick description the difference between merely gathering data on the one hand and trying to understand how data could move you into a better understanding of the multiple complex and conceptual structures in a society or culture. We want you to research your issue, but we want you to understand that data all by itself won't help you understand anything unless you also understand the social and cultural structures into which the data fits, and also the people to whom your issue and its data matters. We're imagining that this will be quite a bit like the reflection cycle, which is a term coming from ePortfolio scholarship. In the reflection cycle, you have concrete experience, which leads you to reflective observation, which then leads you to conceptualize abstractly and then to experiment actively. This gives you more concrete experience and so on. We think this is quite a bit like our process for moving through genres, but also asking you to use the same issues. So in the first instance, you'll have an issue that you've chosen, and then you'll choose a genre from a couple that we offer you. And then we want you to do research, both topical and rhetorical. Topical research being research into your issue, its history, the facts, the data, the other studies, and so forth. And rhetorical research being an investigation into the circumstances where the discussion of the issue gets deployed in social settings and the people to whom that discussion matters. We hope that from that research standpoint, you'll move to reflecting, and that reflecting will allow you to thicken your understanding of the rhetorical situation, but also of the issue. This will then lead you to do more research, both topical and rhetorical, which you'll apply to a new setting, using new genres, and so forth. Each time you make this move, we hope you'll add more understanding both of the issue and of the social circumstances, and of the rhetorical situations in which your issue matters. Now, over time, we want you to look at your issues from as many points of view as possible, and also to examine your own judgments and prior commitments about the issues, the ones you brought with you at the beginning of the investigation. Hopefully, the issue process allows you to question, examine, and deepen your own understanding of your judgments, your very own judgments and commitments, and we want you to bring as many points of view as possible into your investigation. So as you take your issue, we want you to think, what's the rhetorical situation in the thickest possible sense? And what are some possible opportunities for addressing that situation? And finally, what are some fitting responses? These are questions that you will take up and answer more than one time. One of the tools we hope you'll use is the Flash Memoir assignment, which you'll be working on right away. This is a very brief memoir that invites you to take one image, one memory, one experience, or one connection, personal connection, to the issue and explore it. This assignment is a tool to begin your investigation of your issue. So here's a specific circumstance. A few months ago, as I was listening to the inauguration ceremonies for President Obama's second term of office, I was struck by his discussion of voting rights. Let's see, this led me to do just a little research into voting rights. Wow. Here you have the ACLU. I'm trying to get our little video working here. Yep, the ACLU, which articulates some circumstances in which voting rights issues are being addressed. This led me to look then for artistic approaches to the issue of voting rights. Here you have DC Vote, who are working with artists to make works promoting democracy, justice, and voting rights. And then I thought maybe doing a little investigation into the history of voting rights might be useful. You can see from this Google search that I found a bunch of very good sources very easily. And of course, if you went into the databases in our library, you'd find a bunch of different kinds of sources on the history of voting rights. And finally, here's a little video that gives a history of voting rights in the United States. If I were going to write a flash memoir, I think I might look back at the first time I voted. I was in college and I was listening very hard to the points of view of the people around me, so much so that I am chagrined to remember that I cast my vote for a congressman whose views very shortly became antithetical to my own values and beliefs. If I were writing a flash memoir, I might write about the process of learning to weigh the points of view of others as I came to my own political decisions. I could use research on the two candidates for that office or on voting rights in general to contextualize and anchor my memoir, and I could thicken my own memories with historical information and political science, philosophy. So as you begin to do research into your issue, we want you to use the flash memoir to think about your own experience, but also to begin to consider as many points of view as possible. We hope that you'll continue to add research, perspectives, and data, as well as conceptual understandings of your issue and the rhetorical situation. And if you do this, we think you'll be very successful in carrying out not only this assignment, but all the writing assignments of the course.